from the second tier. Love Thy Neighbor outside it in 5. Kira Kress. 6, that's Selfish Samantha at the pylons there. Followed in 7th by Yankees Bad Girl. To the outside of there in 8, Sand Fan. Up on the outside of there, racing in 8th, that is Big Affair in Town, rather. 9th, that is Sand Fan, and 10th and trailing Casarena. The opening quarter was hot, 27-2. On by the stands for the first time, and Boy Chaser is back out for the retake here. VC on time is now yielding for that garden spot, racing in 2 as they roll underneath the wire for the first time. First up on the outside, Big Town Manners in 3rd. 4th and snagging that covers Kira Kress. 5th is Love Thy Neighbor as they step into that clubhouse turn in front of the paddock and on over to the half. 6 to the inside, Selfish Samantha. Gap at 3 there, racing in 7th. That is Yankees Bad Girl, followed at the rail in 8th by Big Affair in Town. Moving to the outside in 9th, Casarena in 10th, and struggling as Sand Fan as they went by the half in 57 seconds flat. Driving down the backside, Boy Chaser the one to catch, leading it by a length and a half. And to the outside, Kira Kress, your 3 to 5 punter's choice is now bearing down in 2. VC on time, could not go with them in 3rd under Whipper there. To the outside, racing in 4th, Love Thy Neighbors. They race by 3/4 in 1:27 flat. Backside 30 seconds. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. Boy Chaser with a late tear. To the outside, Kira Kress continuing to close is Love Thy Neighbor as they turn to the top of Heartbreak Lane. Less than an eighth of a mile to pace, and down the stretch they come. Boy Chaser finally gives way to Kira Kress on the outside. Love Thy Neighbor is trying to get there for second, but as they come to the wire, Kira Kress is edging away just in front of the tote board. Boy Chaser to go second, Love Thy Neighbor third. Time of the mile, 1:57.4. Kira Kress for 2 in a row here at Scioto Downs. Side of the winner's circle, the official winner of the first race, timed here in 1:57.4 for the 9th win in 2005. Here's the 5, Kira Kress. A 6-year-old brown mare by Village Connection out of a Happy Escort mare, Rose Kress, owned by Richard Weiss to Brookville, Ohio, trained by Mike Clay, nicely handled here this evening by winning driver Mark Winters. The 5, Kira Kress, 1:57, 4/5, home a winner. Here's the rundown for the first race. The 1, Boy Chaser, 2. The 2, Big Town Manners, 6. The 3, VC on time, 8. The 4, Selfish Samantha, 4. The 5, Kira Kress, the race winner, 1:57, 4/5. During a field of 10, there are no changes. The 1 is Shim's Kahuna, owned and trained by Dale Edwards of Bucyrus, Ohio, with Brett Miller up. Number 2, Golden Messenger, owned and trained by Vincent Golden of Westerville, Ohio, Chip Noble. The 3, 32 Special, owned by David Seif of Waverly, Ohio, trained by Ed Davis, Steve Carter. The 4, Looks Like a Viking, owned by the partnership of Hughes, Deagle, and Swank. They're of Ohio and Florida, trained by Mike Hughes, Justin Hall. The 5, TK's Jezebel, owned, trained, and driven by Terry Todd Milhone at Delaware, Ohio. Number 6, Hilltopper's Ben, owned by John Foster of Piketon, Ohio, trained by Owen Harness, Bill Long Jr. Number 7, Chase Approved, owned by Rankin and Rankin of Ohio, trained and driven by Dave Rankin. With the 8, Rapid Design, by Ritter of Kentucky and Gandolfo of Kentucky, trained and driven by Steve Waller. On the outside of the 9, coming along, owned by Mary Cruz at Tip City, Ohio, trained and driven by Jim Cruz. And from the second tier, number 10, Rockin' Summer, owned by Kenneth Thompson of Baltimore, Ohio, trained and driven by Dave Myers, Yenner Sulky. Field in motion, with a 9 coming along, has missed the gate. They're all fan trotting from the middle of the track. The 4, Looks Like Viking, is charging out right alongside TK's Jezebel from the rails. Shim's Kahuna, middle of the track and 4th, Golden Messenger. 3 deep in 5th, Hilltopper's Ben. 6 from the second tier, Rockin' Summer, followed in 7th by Chase Approved. A gap at 2, racing in 8th, that is 32 Special. Followed up in 9th by Coming Along, and 10th and trailing after the early miscue, Rapid Design. Well, they roll by the opening quarter here in 29 4/5 and trot on bias for the first time and head over to the half. Being led up top by Looks Like a Viking and Justin Hall dictating the fractions with this one by length and a quarter. To the inside, TK's Jezebel found the garden spot in 2. Hilltopper's Ben is sent first up in 3rd. 4th, that is Golden Messenger. To the outside in 5, Rockin' Summer to snag that cover. 3rd over the outside in 6, Chase Approved. Followed to the rail in 7th by Shims Kahuna. 8th and tipping to the outside, coming along. Off stride 32 Special, and 9th and 10th and trailing Rapid Design. They trotted by the half and a leisurely 102 and 1/5. Off the turn and trotting down the backside. Heads are pointed towards 3/4. Looks Like a Viking taking pressure to the outside from Hilltopper's Ben with less than 3/8 of a mile to go. To the inside, TK Jezebel trots in 3rd. Swung up 300 to the outside. Here comes Rockin' Summer, and Rockin' Summer is now trotting up a storm to the outside. Was 4th, now 3rd, now 2nd, advancing up towards the leaders. 3/4 and 132 and 2/5. And Rockin' Summer has jumped it off stride to the untimeliest of breaks there as they trot to the top of the stretch to the inside. Looks Like a Viking re-inherits the lead. To the outside, Hilltopper's Ben is still there in 2nd with less than 1/8 of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come. Looks Like a Viking. But to the outside, Hilltopper's Ben at 25 to 1 is going to score here. Hilltopper's Ben in front, going to be very close for 2nd. May have been the 4. Looks Like a Viking holding on for 2nd over the 5 TK's Jezebel, but it's very close. 203 and 2/5. Hilltopper's Ben, first career victory. 6 and a photo for place and show. In 203 and 2/5 for a first career victory. The 6 Hilltopper's Ben. A 3-year-old daughter of I Look Like My Mom out of a final score mare. Hilltopper's Grace, owned by John Foster of Piketon, Ohio, trained by Owen Harness. See Owen Harness, that is. Nicely handled to this evening by winning driver Bill Long Jr. Of the 6 Hilltopper's Ben and Bill Long Jr. home a winner at 203 and 2/5 at 25 to 1. Well, the 645 is official. 645 official. The 6 Hilltopper's Ben returning 56.80, $12.620. 2nd of the 4 Looks Like a Viking, $322.80. 3rd of the 5 TK's Jezebel, $540. 6-4 exact, $234 even. A $1 try. 645, $3,331.70. Stepping to the track for the 3rd range, 2-year-old Colt and Gelding Pacers. Maidens here. Pace of 1 mile. Purse of $2,400. Exact trifecta wagering. A field of 10. Drivers change on the 6. Got a quickie. Drivers cow waiter. The 1 is Robbins Ponderosa by Emma Bell Patel, Springfield, Ohio, trained by Dave Brumbaugh, Chip Noble. For the 2, Just Jokin, owned by Gary Reynolds at Crestline, Ohio, trained and driven by Dan Reynolds. The 3 is Awesome Character, with the AWS stables in Lima, Ohio, trained by Jeff Remy with Kane Kaufman. Number 4, VC Scooter, owned by Bruce and Patricia Soulsby and Rick Shout. They're of Ohio and Florida, trained and driven by Rick Shout. The 5 Mystery, owned by Haynes and Haynes of Ohio, trained and driven by Keith Haynes. The 6 Got a Quickie, owned by Laura Baker at Galloway, Ohio, trained by Jim Artledge Jr. Cowader. Cowader drives the 6 Got a Quickie. Number 7 Looks Like Jet, owned by Eddie Pulling and Dan Stone, 11 in Ohio, trained by Eddie Pulling, Jeff Nysonger. The 8 Banner's Freedom, owned and trained by Wayne Bowman of Greenville, Ohio, Brett Miller. The 9 Here Comes Big Guy, owned by Gilmore, Batchy Jr. and Rogers. They're of Ohio and Florida, trained and driven by Ricky Heitman. And for the 2nd tier, number 10, Buckeye Imp, owned by Robert and Gail Empson of Cedarville, Ohio, trained by Gail Empson. Trent Tharps is in the sulky. Well, that's the field for the 3rd race. 3rd race post time is 8:23. Exact coming 4th race are Climbing Pacers. Dime Superfecta wagering. Exact is in tries. All you need is a dime to play the upcoming 4th race here at Scioto Downs in our 4th and last race each and every night. Drivers change on the 4 Polished Scooter. The driver is Tony Rose. Field of 10. There are 1 change. The 4 Polished Scooter, Tony Rose. Post time is 8:43 and it's 13 minutes away. Well, don't forget, racing fans, that coming up this weekend here at Scioto Downs, we'll kick the July 4th weekend off by starting tomorrow night with an 11 race card at 7:30. Saturday night as well. We've got 11 of them at 7:30. And then on Sunday and Monday, July 3rd and 4th, we'll be racing live with Ohio Sire Stakes on Sunday for 2-year-old filly Pacers and Ohio Sire Stakes for 2-year-old filly Trotters. Well, that's on Sunday. We have 11 races on Sunday, and the gates open at 11 o'clock as family day here at Scioto Downs, and then right back on Monday, July 4th in the afternoon. A matinee post at 1 o'clock as well. Ohio Sire Stakes for 3-year-old Colt Trotters and Ohio Sire Stakes for 3-year-old Colt Pacers. Number of races still to be determined. Post time both on Sunday and Monday, which are family days. There'll be gates opening at 11 o'clock. Free admission, free parking and admission. Also, there'll be family day, which is face painters, clowns, pony rides, and much more. Backstretch Barn Tours, bring your family out on Sunday and Monday. First race post time is 1 o'clock, and on top of that, we'll be simulcasting the top product in North America, or the top thoroughbred and standardbred product, both day and night. Three checking, 372, 5610, 91 at $2,200. Tony Rose drives the 4 Polished Scooter, a field of 10. The 1 is Demond Hunter, owned by Travis Ray Reinhardt of Frankfort, Ohio, trained and driven by Justin Hall. Number 2 is Nuke the Bunny, by Schusen Shepherd of Ohio, trained by Jeff Mallett's Brett Miller. The 3 is Rapid Maneuver, owned, trained and driven by Mark Wallace of Sabina, Ohio. The 4 Polished Scooter, owned by Merle Moore of Franklin, Ohio, trained by Bill Kingsland, Tony Rose. The 5 Jetstream Connect, owned by James Wampler of Kettering, Ohio, trained by Joe Essig, Randy Tharps. The 6 Final Falcon, owned by Weller, Carter, they're all of Ohio, trained by Steve Carter. Steve Carter is up. The 7 Miami Jewel, owned and trained by Bill Pugh, Groveport, Ohio, Kane Kaufman. The 8 is Kevin Clark of Centerville, Ohio's Nancy's Buddy, trained and driven by Darren Mauser. The 9, Yankee Frankie, owned by Richard Todd Jr. of Moore, Ohio, trained by Jeff Robinson. Jeff Nysonger is up. Into the second tier, number 10, Dots Big Guy, owned by Joseph Shemai, Lexington, Kentucky, trained by Mike Riley. Cal Waiter is in the sulky. Stepping to the track for the 5th race, condition trot, exact trifecta wagering. Trot a 1 mile, purse at $2,500. Down to a field of 9, scratch the 9, Rocky Mountain Sun 6. The 1 is Cummins Diesel, owned, trained and driven by Roy Wilson of Lebanon, Ohio. Number 2 is Little Beans, owned by Dave Ehrenberg II of Ohio and Dick Neff of Ohio, trained by Dick Neff with Dave Ehrenberg II. The 3 Dublin Dollars, owned and trained by Dave Morrow, Canton, Ohio, Chip Noble. The 4 is Grand Watch Him Go, owned and trained by Jerry Grant of Pleasant Plain, Ohio, Jeff Nysonger. The 5 is Striking Detail, owned by Elizabeth Brandon, Logan, Ohio, trained and driven by Dave Myers. Well, the 6, Your Don Right, by Ralph and Michael Evans of Athens, Ohio, trained and driven by Justin Hall. Well, the 7 Super Bandits, owned by Jerry Folk and Connie Armstrong of Delaware, Ohio, trained by Jerry Folk, Adam Rucker. With the 8 Fiery Hit, owned by Bartley and Bartley Jr. of Ohio, trained by Roger Bartley Jr. Brandon Bartley is the reinsman. With the 9, Rocky Mountain Sun is out sick and scoring for the second tier. The 10 Diamond Dove, owned by Broombon Rudnick of Ohio, trained by Bruce Walls. Jeff Felt is in the sulky. There they go. Field in motion. Being sent on their way. They're all fan trotting from the middle of the track. The 4 Grand Watch Him Go, driving up on the outside there. Fiery Hit is placed on the go and crossing right over to take the lead as they wheel towards that opening 8th and over to the opening quarter. Away at 3rd. That's Little Beans outside in 4th. Your Don Right. Fifth to the inside, Cuman's Diesel. Sixth from the second tier, Diamond Dove. Followed up in seventh by Dublin Dollars. The two trailers are. That is Striking Detail and Super Bandit by that opening quarter. The opening quarter was trotted in 29 and 1/5. Leading on by the grandstand for the first time and heading on over to the half. Fiery Hit and Brandon Bartley out there on the point, leading it by length and a half. To the inside, Grand Watch Him Go is stalking in that garden spot, racing in two. Little Beans trots in third, watching over the top pair. Fourth to the inside, Your Don Wright found a seat there, tipping first up in five at off stride went Cuman's Diesel as they step around the clubhouse turn. Front of the paddock and on over to the half. Now sent first up on the outside in five. That's Diamond Dove. Sixth to the outside, Dublin Dollars. Seventh at Ground Saving Journey, Super Bandit. Eighth is Striking Detail, and ninth and trailing back down, trotting Cuman's Diesel through a half in just a minute flat. Driving midway down the backside, Fiery Hit still out there on the front, leading it by a length and a quarter. To the inside, Grand Watch Him Go is still there in second. Diamond Dove is first up there in third. Second over in fourth, Dublin Dollars. Fifth, that is Little Beans, followed in sixth by Your Don Wright. 3/4 and 129 and 4/5. Though trot the final turn and head for home. Fiery Hit trying to make every pull a winning one. To the inside, Grand Watch Him Go. A trip of a lifetime is trotting in second as they turn to the top of Heartbreak Lane. Less than an eighth of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come, driving through Power Alley. Up top, Fiery Hit, but Grand Watch Him Go. The pocket rocket is coming at him and coming on and zipping on by here. Grand Watch Him Go in front. Fiery Hit to go second. Close here for third. It's the 10 Diamond Dove. Time of the mile 2 minutes and 2/5. Grand Watch Him Go in a new
time mark. Second win in 2005. The 4 Grand Watch Him Goes. A 4-year-old bay outing by Scimitar of a Lucky Elmhurst mare, Grand Debonair. Owned and trained by Jerry Grant of Pleasant Plain, Ohio. Nicely handled here this evening by winning driver Jeff Nysonger. The 4 Grand Watch Him Go. New lifetime mark 2 minutes 2/5. $5.80, $4, $4. Second to the 8, Fiery Hit, 1869.20. Third to the 10, Diamond Dove, $5.20. Well, the 4-8 exact is worth $267.60. 4-8-10 try, $528.80.
Ace 1 mile Stallions and Geldings, purse at $2,400. Exact trifecta wagering, a field of 10, the 1 CJ's Thunderstorm. Owned by Near, Gary Dill, and Donald Beatty. They're of Ohio, trained and driven by Darren Mauser. Number 2 is Learjet, owned by Ken Briggs and Mark Collier of Ohio, trained by Bob Burns, Sandy Beatty. The 3, Rossini, owned by George Smith of Springfield, Ohio, trained by Sherry Myers. Chip Noble's up. The 4, Find Your Dream, owned and trained by David Bowden-Miller at Troy, Ohio, Jeff Fout. The 5 is Southwind Regency, by Robert Darrell of Ohio and Alan Skolnick of New York, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr. with Randy Tharps. 6 is Pokey Square, owned with a partnership of Jerry Zozo of Columbus and Kathy Ratcliffe of Orient, Ohio, trained by Delvin Criswell, Cowwaiter. The 7, I Want to Be a Buckeye, owned, trained, and driven by Edward Cooper of Batavia, Ohio. At the 8, Mr. Peepers, owned by Julie Farley of Troy, Ohio, trained by Jim Daly. Jeff Daly is up. For the 9 is Spring Boy, owned by Amabel Patel, Springfield, Ohio, trained by Mike Lee, Brett Miller. And for the second tier, number 10, Mantra, owned by J&J Como Jr. Incorporated at Waco, New Jersey, trained by Pete Foley with Kane Kaufman in the sulky. Start. Field in motion. They're all fan pacing from the inside. Learjet getting the first call. Middle of the track, Southwind Regency driving up 3 deep to join the fray. Spring Boy is marching on. Outside in fourth, I Want to Be a Buckeye. Fifth at the pylons, Rosini. As they step towards that opening quarter, followed in sixth by CJ's Thunderstorm. Angling to the pylons in seventh, Pokey Square. Eighth from the second tier, Mantra. Ninth is Find Your Dream. And 10th and trailing, Mr. Peepers. The opening quarter, 28 and 1/5. And on by the grandstand, they roll for the first time. Up on the outside, I Want to Be a Buckeye is now brushing to the top here. To the inside, Spring Boy is racing in second. Lear Jets racing third. Southwind Regency's found a seat in fourth. Fifth, that is Rosini. Outside in sixth, Pokey Square. Seventh is CJ's Thunderstorm. Followed to the outside in eighth by Mantra, who's second over there. Now third over. And to the outside, racing in ninth and third over as they step around that clubhouse turn in front of the paddock and on over to the half. That's Find Your Dream in 10th and trailing. That's Mr. Peepers in a ground-saving journey there through a half, 58 seconds flat. Off the turn, driving down the backside. Heads are pointed towards three quarters. I Want to Be a Buckeye leading the way here by length and a quarter. And to the inside, Spring Boy is right there chasing in second. First up on the outside in third, Southwind Regency. Fourth and all locked in the box there is Learjet. Second over in five, that's Pokey Square. Third over in six, under whip taps, that's Mantra. Three quarters in 1:27 and 3/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home, and I Want to Be a Buckeye with a lead by two. To the inside, Spring Boy and Nelson up three wide to the outside. Here comes Mantra and looking for racing room. Learjet to the top of the stretch. Less than an eighth of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come. I Want to Be a Buckeye with a lead by two. Up the inside, here's Learjet. The battle's on for second and third. It's I Want to Be a Buckeye in front. Finishing second, the 5 Southwind Regency. Third was the 10 Mantra. The time of the mile, 1:57 and 4/5. I Want to Be a Buckeye in a new lifetime mark. 7:5:10 is unofficial. 7:5:10 for unofficial. 7:5:10 unofficial. $5.80. Second, the 5-horse Southwind Regency, $11.83.80. Third of the 10 Mantra, $3. 7.5 exacta, $172 even. 7.510 try, $1,170 even. Stepping trackside of the winner's circle, the official winner of the sixth race, time here to do lifetime mark. Second win in 2005, second career victory for the 7 I Want to Be a Buckeye. A 3-year-old son of threefold out of a log mare, featured fashion, owned, trained, and driven by Ed Cooper of Batavia, Ohio. The 7 I Want to Be a Buckeye, new lifetime mark, stands at 157 and 4 fouls. Here's the rundown for the sixth race. Number 1, CJ's Thunderstorm. 7, the 2, Learjet. 5, the 3, Rosini. 9. The 4, Find Your Dream. 4, the 5, Southwind Regency. 2. Trifecta wagering. Fillies and mares. Condition claiming pays. 1 Molly purse of $2,000. A field of 10. The 1 is Fritzy Scioto. Owned by Fritz and McHenry. All of the Buckeye State. Trained by Richard Fritz with Dave Myers. Well, the 2 is First Family, owned in partnership by Ross Herr and James Woodward at Groveport, Ohio, trained by Ross Herr with Randy Tharps. The 3 is Third Image, owned and trained by Dave Hufford at Tiffin, Ohio. Jeff Nysonger is up. The 4, Ashley's Obsession, owned by Eric Fisher of Marysville, Ohio, trained by Mike Conklin, Brett Miller. Well, the 5, Frosty Dawn, owned by Fred Morgan Jr. of Nashport, Ohio, trained and driven by Ryan Holton. Number 6, Hug a Day, owned by Larry Joe Nybert of Richwood, Ohio, trained by Eddie Bibler with Adam Rucker. With the 7, Lonely Me, owned, trained, and driven by Chip Noble of Xenia, Ohio. With the 8, This Old Maid, owned and trained by Gary Crawford of Washington Courthouse, Ohio, Kyle Waiter. The outside of the 9, Brave Alice, owned by Harness and Harness, they're of Ohio and Georgia, trained by Seal and Harness with Justin Hall. And from the second tier, number 10, Kelly's Best, owned by Dennis Hertz at Columbus, Ohio, trained by Jerry Kuchbach. Kane Kaufman is in her sulky. Field in motion. They're all fan pacing from the inside. Third Image is getting the first call. Middle of the track, Frosty Dawn is now crossing over. Hug-A-Day is 3 deep to join the fray. Gap at 2 and 4, Ashley's Obsession, followed in 5th by Fritzy Scioto. 6th from the second tier, Kaylee's Best as they roll around the first turn and over to the opening quarter, followed in 7th by First Family. 8th, that is Lonely Me, and the 2 early trailers here. This Old Maid and Brave Alice can see them all as they race by that opening quarter in 28 seconds flat, being led up top by Hug-A-Day and her whip taps there. Couple tippy taps of the whip, just as a reminder to her, leading it here by length and a quarter. To the inside, Frosty Dawn is chasing in second. Third along the inside, Third Image, your 6-5 punter's choice, is edging off the pylons there. 4th, that is Ashley's Obsession. 5th to the outside, Fritzy Scioto. 6th through the inside, Kaylee's Best. 7th is Lonely Me. 8th to the outside as they step around the clubhouse turn in front of the paddock and on over to the half. That's This Old Maid. 9th to the inside as they step off the half. That's the 2 First Family in 10th and trailing Brave Alice. They were halfway home in 1 minute and 1/5. The drums are beating up top now as they off the turn and driving down the backside. Hug-A-Day with a lead and dipping right back in the garden spot. Third Image, less than 3/8 of a mile to go. To the inside, Frosty Dawn is racing in third. Inside, racing fourth, that's Ashley's Obsession. Outside, stalled there in 5 is Fritzy Scioto, is now picking it up. 6 to the inside, Kaylee's Best. 3/4 on the board in 1:29 flat. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. Hug-A-Day under urging here. Now moving to the outside. Third Image is now bearing down on the outside into Fritzy Scioto is still closing in third. Frosty Dawn still there in fourth. Ashley's Obsession looking for racing room in 5. Less than 1/8 of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come. Hug-A-Day to the outside. Third Image up the inside. Frosty Dawn way out wide. Kaylee's Best on the grandstand side is charging hard. Kaylee's Best gets up to win it. Very close there for a second. The time of the mile is 2 minutes and 2/5. Kaylee's Best in a first career victory way out wide. All the 10, Kaylee's Best returning 35-20, 9:45-20. Second to the 1, Fritzy Scioto, 3:62.60. Third to the 6, Hug-A-Day, $4. 10-1 exacta, 122.80. 10-1-6 try, $411.80. Stepping trackside of the winner's circle from the second tier, here's the 10, Kaylee's Best. Posting the first career victory, the 3-year-old daughter of Cam Best out of a Dragon's Lair mare, Kaylee's Draghead. By Dennis Hearns at Columbus, Ohio, trained by Jerry Kuchbach. Nicely handled here this evening by winning driver Kane Kaufman. Of the 10, Kaylee's Best, 2 minutes, 2/5, first career victory. The 1 is Innocent Trickster. And the lessee is also the trainer, George Anthrop of Marshall, Michigan. Kane Kaufman is up. For the 2, Sports Magic, owned and trained by Ron Barker of Chillicothe, Ohio, Jeff Daly. The 3, Mr. Max Blue. Well, the lessee is Barbara Shade of Miamisburg, Ohio, trained by Ron Shade with Ron Taubert. The 4, Steady Star Sam, owned by Mullen and Morgan of the Bluegrass State, trained by Mike Barrett, Tony Rose. 5, Black Cloud Bill, owned by Chris Fount and Jackie Harding of Grove City, Ohio, trained by Dan Ader, Jeff Fount. Well, the 6 is Cockney Battle, owned and trained by Norman McVeigh of Fredericktown, Ohio, Jeff Nysonger. With the 8, Sugar Supreme Inn, owned by Carl May of Bell Center, Ohio, trained by David Law with Adam Rucker. With the 8, Tal's Draw, owned, trained and driven by Earl Bushelman of Hamilton, Ohio. The outside of the 9, Island You Are Bernie, owned and trained by Mary Dawson and Legger, West Virginia, Lawrence Cooper. And for the second tier, number 10, Famous Flyer, owned and trained by Karen Seifert of Mount Sterling, Ohio. Brett Miller is in the sulky. That's the field for the 8th race, first half of the late field in motion. They're all fan pacing, driving through the middle of the track. The 4, Steady Star Sam, right alongside the 5, Black Cloud Bill. 3 deep to join the fray, Cognate Battle. From the inside, Innocent Trickster is away in 4th. 5th from the second tier, Famous Flyer. 6th to the inside, that's Sports Magic. 7th along the pylons there, Mr. Max Blue. Followed up in 8th by Al's Draw. The 2 trailers, Sugar Supreme Inn and Island You Are Bernie. The opening quarter, 27-4. Pretty hot opening quarter for these, being led on by the grandstand for the first time and over to the half by the 5, Black Cloud Bill, and Fount out there on the point, dictating the fractions by length and a quarter. Into the inside, Steady Star Sam's right there, nose to helmet in second. Cognate Battle found a seat in third. Famous Flyer sent first over the rim, racing in fourth. Second over the outside, racing in five. That is Owl's Draw as they step around the clubhouse turn in front of the paddock and on over to the half. Reaching the half here, they're halfway home, 59 and 4/5. A second panel with 32 seconds flat. Off the turn, driving down the backside. Leading the way, Black Cloud Bill by a length and a quarter. Now to the outside, Famous Flyers applying heavy pressure to the outside in two. Along the inside, Steady Star Sam is watching over these doing leaders. Fourth in a move to the outside, Cognate Battle, the free-legged pacer there. Fifth to the inside, Innocent Trickster. Third over the outside in six, Sports Magic. 3/4, 128 and 4/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home, being led on the inside by Black Cloud Bill. Famous Flyer still bearing down on the outside in two. Steady Star Sam in third. Off the pylons in fourth, Innocent Trickster. Sports Magic's closing. Less than an eighth of them out of pace, driving through Power Alley. Into the outside, Famous Flyer to the lead. Into the inside, Black Cloud Bill could not go with them in second as they come to the wire. Famous Flyer in front gives Brett Miller a hat trick on this evening's card. Second to the five, Black Cloud Bill. Third was the one, Innocent Trickster. The time of the mile, 158 and 4/5. Famous Flyer. And 4/5 for a new season's best. Second win in 2005 from off the second tier, the 10 Famous Flyer. A 9-year-old chestnut horse by Falcon Elmhurst out of an albatross mare, looking fine. Owned and trained by Karen Sievert of Mount Sterling, Ohio. Nicely handled here this evening by winning driver Brett Miller. That's 3 wins on this evening's card for Brett, giving him the hat trick, a driving triple. Of the 10 Famous Flyer, 158 4/5. Home a winner. Double exact trifecta wagering. Down to a field of 9 with a scratch of the 4 Stadium Sick. The 10 Lighthouse Special will score from the second tier. The 1 is Carl's Colonel D, owned by Dino LaCastro, Denny Miller, Pennsylvania, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr. with Brett Miller. Number 2 is Repress, owned by Michelle Mattioli and Janet Bennett. They're the Keystone State, trained and driven by Dean Collins. Number 3 is the Cowboy Way, owned and trained by Jerry Grant of Pleasant Plain, Ohio, Tony Rose. The 4 Stadium is out sick. The 5 Kyoki Cam, owned by the G Unit Racing Stable, Sydney, Ohio, trained by Harry Groves with Adam Rucker. Number 6, Mystical Spur, owned and trained by Dick James in Lebanon, Ohio. Dave Setzer is up. Well, the 7 Sunday Night Fame, owned by Catherine N. Shayla of Dayton, Ohio, trained by Doug Stovall, Chad Lees. With the 8, Dr. Elbon, owned, trained and driven by Chip Noble, Xenia, Ohio. The 9, King Aura, owned and trained by Roy Murphy of Mendon, Ohio. Kyle Ader is up. And for the second tier, number 10, Lighthouse Special, owned and trained by Paul Cruz of Miamisburg, Ohio. Randy Tharps is in the sulky. That's the field. Well, this field is in motion. Being set on their way. They're all fan pacing from the middle of the track. There goes the 5 Kyoki Cam from the inside. Repress up on the outside there. Mystical Spur is looking to tuck in third. Fourth from the second tier, Lighthouse Specialist closed that gap. Fifth is Carl's Colonel D. Sixth to the inside of the Cowboy Way. Followed in seventh by Sunday Night Fame. Of the 2 early trailers here are Dr. Elbon and King Aura. Can see them all as they step towards that initial quarter. The opening quarter came and went 29 seconds flat. On by the stands for the first time and heading over to the half and up on the outside here, looking to brush to the top. That is for the 10 Lighthouse Special, doing so now as they step into the clubhouse turn. Repress is yielded for that garden spot in 2. To the inside, Kyoki Cam, the early leader, has been shuffled in 3rd. Mystical Spur racing 4th. Now angling to the outside, racing in 5 as they step towards that halfway mile mark of the race. That's the 1, Carl's Colonel D. They're halfway home, 57 and 4/5. Off the turn, driving down the back stretch, setting up for the long journey towards 3/4. To the inside of the Cowboy Way is racing in 6. 7 to the outside, Sunday Night Fame. Dr. Elbon and King Aura can still see them all as they race towards 3/4, leading the way up top. Lighthouse Special. To the outside, Carl's Colonel D is now bearing down in 2. These 2 are on even terms. They stroke by 3/4 as a team in 127 flat. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. Lighthouse Special to the inside. Carl's Colonel D to the outside. Up on the outside, racing in third. That's Mystical Spur, and Repress is looking for racing room. Less than an eighth of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come, and Carl's Colonel D is all over this field, opening up and drawing away within the final 16th. Carl's Colonel D, home a winner. And finishing second to sixth, Mystical Spur. Going to be very close for third and fourth around the Super. The time of the miles, 1:56 flat. Carl's Colonel D and Brett Miller in a Grand Slam effort tonight. A 4-year-old bay horse by Arturo out of an O'Nukes mare. Carl's Brandy, owned by LaCastro and Miller. Trained by Virgil Morgan Jr. Nicely handled here this evening by winning driver Brett Miller. That's a Grand Slam on this evening's card for Brett. He steers 4 of them home. The one, Carl's Colonel D, 1:56 flat. New lifetime mark. First win in 2005. 1-6-10-8, now official. Third of the 10, Lighthouse Special, $4. 1-6 exact, $86. 1-6-10 try, $516.60.